We're taking calls at 617-830-4750. Let's go to our next caller from the 720 area code. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from today?
Hey, my name is Jesse. I'm calling from Denver.
Great. What's on your mind?
So I wanted to ask you what, in your opinion, is the difference between fake news and
Okay, so
propaganda?
let's just give me 1 second. I can barely hear you. So we're going to turn you up on our end, but also I think your cell reception maybe is going in and out. Let's try it from the top once more. I heard fake news.
I wanted to see what you thought the difference was between fake news and propaganda.
Okay, yeah. Increasingly, people are emailing me about this, saying the term fake news has become confused and sort of perverted or subverted in some way, and we should be distinguishing between fake news and propaganda news. If I were to make such a distinction, and I think there's a distinction to make, and you know, with all these terms like regressive left, for example, the original intent of the phrase ends up getting perverted. For me, fake news is flat out made up stories. It can include satirical news. So like for me, The Onion is a fake news website. It's obvious satire. They're making up the stories. It's meant to either be funny or make an interesting point or some combination of the two. I would also consider part of fake news the websites that I've read so much about at this point, which also are created maybe not as satire, but they're just making up stories. They're making up stories for ad dollars, whatever. Propaganda news is different from that in that it is actually more connected to a real story, so to speak, but the implications, background, hyperbole, and speculation push it from being a news story into a propaganda story. So an example of that might be you take some obscure comment by an official from some government agency, and you turn it into a headline that completely changes the meaning of what a government official might have said, and you connect to that hyperbolic statements about, tyranny or something like that. And I'm getting kind of specific here, but that to me is propaganda news, and I consider it different from fake news. But to be honest, I don't know that the average person is even keyed into the difference between the two.
Well, that's very interesting. So then can I ask a follow-up question?
Please, yeah.
So what do you think of the larger fake news industry? You were recently on the Jesse Peterson program, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this. It's owned by Genesis Communications Network, which is owned by Ted Anderson, which also owns Alex Jones and a lot of very similar programs.
You know, I want to take issue with one aspect of what you're saying.
RT
I just want to take issue with one aspect. I know that the Jesse Lee Peterson show and the Alex Jones radio show are distributed in a syndication way by Genesis, but I don't know that Genesis owns the shows. My understanding is Genesis is the radio distributor of those shows, but that the shows are independently owned.
So then what do you think then about distributors that select to specifically distribute propaganda and fake news?
It's a business for them, you know? I mean, they're choosing shows they can make money with. These are for-profit companies, and we can pass moral or ethical judgment on them. But hey, this is their business. Their job is to just put the shows on stations, bring in advertisers, and take a piece of that revenue. So I could sort of make a moral judgment about it, but this is their business, and that's what they're doing. And they're probably relatively agnostic to the propaganda status of the programs that they distribute. Thanks. Really important. We may do more on the distinction between fake and propaganda news. So I'm glad you brought it up. Always great to hear from our friends in Denver. And I really, really appreciate the call. That is going to do it for today. Some very, very interesting phone calls. We will take calls again. It will happen again. I promise you. We will take a break. Facebook.com/David Pakman Show. Make sure to give us a like on Facebook.